everyone. So yesterday we were doing carbon and its compounds. In that we discussed certain points, which are this: importance of carbon, bonding in carbon, then allotropes of carbon, and versatile nature of carbon. So today we are discussing hydrocarbons. Hydrocarbons. So what are hydrocarbons? The compounds are made up of hydrogen and carbon. We just call it as a hydrocarbons. In these hydrocarbons there are two types. One is saturated hydrocarbons and one is unsaturated hydrocarbons. So saturated and unsaturated hydrocarbons. Saturated hydrocarbons means what? We can just take a cup of water in a bowl and we are adding a sugar in this continuously. Initially whenever we are adding the sugar, it will dissolve completely, but after certain time it will not dissolve. The thing is that saturation, because saturation matlab it has that capacity, after that it will not do the same thing. That is the reason saturated hydrogen carbon and unsaturated hydrocarbon, what is that we are discussing it now. So in case of saturated hydrocarbon, there is a single bond of carbon-carbon single bond. But in case of unsaturated, there is a double bond and triple bond. Double bond and triple bond. I'll take an example for saturations. In a lab, we are doing one experiment, that is we are adding KMnO4 in a H2SO4 solution. Now we are taking this H2SO4 solution. This is a violet color solution, KMnO4. If you are adding this KMnO4 solution dropwise in H2SO4 solution, then initially that violet color it will become colorless in H2SO4. But after certain point, this KMnO4 color, it will not change. It will remain as it is, violet color, because of what? Saturation. So this is a saturated single bond, and it is we just call it as alkanes. Here in unsaturated, double bond, carbon-carbon double bond, we just call them as alkenes. Here carbon-carbon triple bond, we just call them it as alkynes. So now we are individually studying about the alkenes, alkenes and alkynes. These are the series of the hydrocarbons. So now we are discussing individually alkanes, alkenes and alkynes. So what is alkane? We are discussing alkane. Alkane, it is a saturated hydrocarbon. Saturated hydrocarbon. Saturated hydrocarbon, and in this carbon-carbon single bond will be there. Carbon-carbon single bond, that is sigma bond, will be there. So single bond will be there in this case, and we are calling these alkenes as a paraffins. What is meant by paraffins? Para means little and affins means reactivity. So para and affins. Para means little, it means low reactivity and reactivity. Again we will discuss later alkanes, the general formula, how to recognize a compound, whether it is alkene, alkene or alkyne. So now we will discuss it later. Next we will discuss the alkene now. So we know the alkane. Which are the alkanes? Methane. As we know, methane, we just call it as a marsh gas. It will be there in a CNG. This type of question they can ask in a competitive exam. Methane, ethane, propane, butane, pentane, etc. So if AN is the suffix, we can just recognize that this is the alkane series. AN is the suffix. Now we will discuss alkene. Alkene. This is alkene is an unsaturated hydrocarbon. Unsaturated hydrocarbon. Unsaturated hydrocarbon. In this, carbon-carbon double bond will be there. Carbon-carbon double bond. Carbon-carbon double bond. We call it as olefins. Olefins मतलब oily to touch, oily in touch. So ethene, propene, butene, pentene. So suffix is the ene, it means it is the alkene series. And now we after that alkyne. Alkyne. This is also unsaturated hydrocarbon. Unsaturated hydrocarbon. Here carbon-carbon triple bond will be there. Carbon-carbon triple bond. Example of it is ethyne, propyne, butane, ethyne, propyne, butane, pentane, like that. Again, now we are just discussing the general formula of alkane, alkene and alkyne. How to find out whether it is alkene, alkyne or alkane. So general formula. So see, look at here. So the thing is that here for alkane, general formula is Cn H2n plus 2. It means already we know the carbon, how many carbons are there, means we can find out how many hydrogens will be there. And whether this compound belongs to alkene, alkene or alkyne, that is also easy to find out by the general formula. Now we can find out if the one carbon is there, then C1 H2, so it will be CH4. Again if C2, then C2H6. Like this we can just find out the carbon and hydrogen how many will be there by this general formula CnH2n plus 2. This is for alkene. Now we are going to discuss for the alkene. CnH2n, this is the general formula for alkene. If one in case of alkene we are not following this, we are not taking one carbon, because here at least we need carbon-carbon double bond. So in this, if we are taking only one carbon, then we are not we cannot represent as a double bond here. So that is the reason we are taking two carbon atoms. So C2H2. So C2H2 is H2n is 4, C2H4. Then C3H6, like that. Again in alkyne. And alkyne we need a triple bond, so that is the reason again we are not taking one carbon here. At least we need a two carbons. So here we are taking CnH2n minus 2. So in this case, if one carbon is two carbon is there, then C2H2 minus 2. C2 minus 2, it is again C2H2. So we can find out alkyne, alkene and alkane by this general formula. For example, we got a question in an exam that C9 and H18, which is this compound. So in which group it belongs? Alkene, alkene or alkyne. How we are going to find out? If you know the general formula, we can easily calculate. we can easily calculate and find out that it belongs to which group. So it is belongs to, it is a general formula CnH2n it follows. So it means it belongs to alkene group C9 and H18. So it belongs to alkene group. We can take any other examples also later. And now these hydrocarbons, these are the parts we have discussed today. Now we are discussing homologous series. Homologous series. What is meant by homologous series? A series of organic compounds. We already discussed certain alkene series, and alkyne series. In that we can just take any example like alkenes. Now we are taking an example of alkene. Now CH4, then C2, C2H6, then C3, C3H8. So now CH4, C2H6, C3H8. In these compounds, what is the difference? Each compound is getting differed by CH2 unit. We are discussing homologous series. Homologous series means what? Okay, it is a series of organic compounds having a similar structures and similar chemical properties, but each successive compound is getting differed by CH2 unit. That we just call it as a homologous series. So this alkene, alkyne or alkane, so all belongs to the homologous series. So we are going to write down the definition of homologous series. A series of organic compounds. A series of organic compounds. Organic compounds matlab the compound is containing carbon, we just call it as organic. A series of organic compounds having similar structure and similar chemical properties, similar chemical properties a series of organic compounds having similar structure and similar chemical properties, and each successive compound is getting differed. Each successive compound is differed by CH2 unit. We call it as a homologous series. So this is the part we discussed today. So remaining part we can discuss in the next class. Thank you.